सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। The chapter, the three yogas. Topic, the three yogas. Padina. The three yogas. There are three spiritual disciplines directed to the three equipments that a human possesses. Karma Yoga, path of action for the body. Bhakti Yoga, path of devotion for the mind. And Jnana Yoga, path of knowledge for the intellect. Karma Yoga, the path of action, stands on the principle of service and sacrifice. It is an art of living without ego and egocentric attachment to the mundane world, to act for a higher, nobler cause dedicated to the welfare of the community at large. A path that is paved with acts of sharing, giving. Victor Hugo, in his great novel Les Miserables, narrates how a convict has escaped from prison and sought shelter for the night. A priest offered him his food with home, with food and a bed to sleep. The man accepted. And as he lay in bed, he noticed the maid placing the silver dinner plates in his room. In the middle of the night, the convict took them and ran away. The police caught him. The next morning, they brought him with the silver plates to the priest's home. The good man feigned a surprise and told the policeman that he had gifted the plates to his guest. The convict did not utter a word. The policeman profusely apologized and left. The priest then picked up 2 candlesticks made of solid silver from his desk, brought them to the convict lying on the floor, and offered them to him with his blessed words. Remember, life is to give, not to take. The convict received the gift and departed a transformed man. Thereafter, he lived the life of a saint dedicated to service and sacrifice. Such is the grandeur of Karma Yoga. There lived a saint in India whose life was based on a simple maxim. He gave, he forgave. Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, envisages an acute awareness of the splash of divinity everywhere. Devotion is surrender to one's area of ignorance. For example, when you suffer from an illness and do not know medicine, you must bow down to that realm of ignorance. Surrender to a doctor. A human being is steeped in ignorance in practically all aspects of life. How the sun rises every morning and sets every evening, providing vitality to living beings. How the earth yields vegetation. How the clouds supply water. How all creatures are gracefully provided with food and drink. Moreover, everything in the world is perfectly designed for their existence. Above all, the number of carnivore, herbivore, and herbs are meticulously proportioned for the survival of beings. If the numbers of different creatures are not regulated, life would be extinct. Imagine the carnivore in as large numbers as herbivore, and herbivore as few as carnivore, and herbs less and herbivore more. If that be so, life in the planet would instantly come to an end. Hardly any human is aware of this ingenious plan of survival of beings in the world. Thus, people are steeped in ignorance of the divinity that shapes life as such. To recognize this colossal ignorance and surrender to the unknown hand which maintains this phenomenon of life is devotion to God. Ironically, devotion has been reduced to a mockery of selfish prayers. Prayer all over has become licensed beggary. People visit places of worship, pray to God to solicit favors. Some ask for material benefit, others seek mental peace, yet others wish to gain intellectual proficiency in mundane literature. They all seek mere personal gain through their prayers. Few direct their prayers for the unfoldment of the divine self within. Sabine Baring Gould captures the above thought in his beautiful poem, The Olive Tree. The poet describes two hermits planting olive saplings for growing olives as they needed oil for their prayers. Having planted the sapling, one hermit prayed for rain, for sunshine, and for frost to cherish the plant. All his prayers were granted, but the plant eventually perished. Whereas the other hermit asked for nothing. He surrendered to the unknown for its growth. The plant flourished, grew into a tree, and yielded olives. That is surrender to one's ignorance. Surrender to the unseen. That is devotion to God. The poem. The Olive Tree. Said an ancient hermit bending, half in prayer upon his knee, oil I need for midnight watching, I desire an olive tree. Then he took a tender sapling, planted it before his cave, spread his trembling hands above it, as his benison he gave. But he thought the rain it needeth, that the root may drink and swell. God, I pray thee send thy showers. So a gentle shower fell. Lord, I ask for beams of summer, cherishing this little child. Then the dripping clouds divided, and the sun looked down and smiled. Send it frost to brace its tissues, oh my God, the hermit cried. Then the plant was bright and hoary, but at even song it died. Went the hermit to a brother sitting in his rocky cell. Thou an olive tree possessed? How is this, my brother? Tell. I have planted one and prayed, now for sunshine, now for rain. God hath granted each petition, yet my olive tree hath slain. Said the other, I entrusted to its Lord, to its God, my little tree. He who made knew what it needed better than a man like me. Laid I on him no conditions, fixed no ways and means. So I wonder not my olive thriveth, whilst thy olive tree did die. Sabine Baring Gould. Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, is the role of the intellect to distinguish and perceive the difference between the terrestrial and the transcendental, between the real and the unreal, between the ephemeral and the eternal. You need to develop an awareness of the subtle distinction in the mundane world to progress in the path of knowledge. A daily study of the author's seminal work, Vedanta Treatise, The Eternities in the Early Hours of the Morning, should help you gain that perception. The above three disciplines of karma, action, bhakti, devotion, and jnana, knowledge, should be practiced conscientiously every day to help unfold the self within. Such concerted practice would gradually annihilate one's desires. And with the reduction of desires, the practitioner develops a sense of detachment, a dispassion for all that the world offers. This sense of detachment and dispassion is an essential prerequisite, a preparatory state for practicing meditation. In the ultimate stage, The practitioner with the prepared mind plunges into meditation to gain self-realization. He then merges with the supreme reality, attains spiritual enlightenment. Holocaust of attachment is over. That's all. We'll go to the next. We'll go to the next text. The book is over. Desires are the devil that stands in between you and the truth. Okay. How to remove the desires? How to keep aside the desires? How to eliminate the desires? What if you do, you can eliminate the desires? What is the method? The three yogas is the method for that. The three yogas of karma, bhakti, and jnanam. Any number of times we can keep reading these three yogas, and still it is useful to keep reading it again and again and again. Karma yoga is the path of action. Karma yoga, devotion. Jnana yoga, knowledge. Attempting to unite through action is karma. Attempting to unite with emotion is bhakti. Attempting to unite through knowledge is jnanam. You can use the word path, or you can use the word attempting to unite. The very word yoga implies the attempt to unite. Though literally we don't use it like attempt to unite, we talk about it as the path of action, the path of devotion, the path of as a human being, karma yoga. As a human being, you go on performing actions all the time, thereby creating what you have to experience in the future. You keep performing actions all the time and create your own future. Create your own future means creating what you have to experience as karma pala. So karma, a karta, performs karma, experiencing karma pala. This knowledge is very important for understanding karma yoga. What is the karma pala that you experience? The karma pala that you will experience is always boiling down to joy or sorrow. All actions will result in these two results. The result of joy or sorrow. Happiness or misery, any word you can use, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you use. So what is the first lesson of Karma Yoga? The first lesson of Karma Yoga is this. Your mental state is your creation. If you do not understand this, you cannot accept Karma Yoga. Your mental state is decided by, your mental state is decided by whom? Me and also others, sir. Decided by whom? It is obviously decided by me and also sometimes by others. Vedanta says, forget Karma Yoga. Go and understand action itself first. With this understanding, you can never perform Karma Yoga. So, in order to perform Karma Yoga rightly, the proper understanding of karma is required. What is the proper understanding of karma? As a karta, the doer, you go on performing karma, the actions, constantly experiencing the consequences of your actions. Actions we have seen. 3 methods: thought, word, and deed. So karma pala is a experience of your thought, word, and deed. If I am in sorrow, it is because of what? Tape recorder didn't work today, isn't it? Tape recorder didn't work today, and dam katti naane padikka vendidaachu, isn't it? That is why I am in sorrow today. That's why I am in sorrow today. So if a person is in joy or sorrow, where do you place the responsibility? For joy, you are responsible. For sorrow, obviously, sir, the other is responsible. Where is the problem? If I am happy means I did something good. If I am in pain means somebody is hurting me. That's all. Where is the difficulty? Life is very clear, sir. We don't have this problem at all. Karma yoga is impossible. So, first thing of karma yoga is understanding karma. And what is understanding karma? Again, I repeat. 5th time I'm repeating. Karta, performing karma, experiencing karma pala. That's all. What is the karma pala? Joy or sorrow, happiness or unhappiness, frustration or bliss, whatever word, whatever opposites you want to use, you can use. Generally, result of the action is of your mental state. Mental state is the ultimate result of action. Imagine you get wealth and you are agitated by that wealth. Imagine you are not having wealth and you are still being very happy. Imagine you are having a family and thinking, oh my God, why did I even get into this? Another thing is you are all by yourself and you are extremely happy. It means what you have or what you don't have has got no correlation to your mental state. If this understanding comes in, if this conviction comes in, you can start doing karma yoga. Are you able to follow? This understanding. What is understanding? That I am responsible for my mental state. Since I alone is responsible for my mental state, I will start performing actions in the way it ought to be performed. What is the way in which it ought to be performed? That is a technique of karma yoga. Are you okay till now? Now, what is the technique of karma yoga says? Karma yoga says, offering all actions to the goal, God, arpana buddhi. Karma yoga is purely an attitudinal change behind the action. Again, I repeat, karma yoga is a pure attitudinal change behind your action. Karma yoga is not the change of the skill behind your action. Karma yoga is nothing but the attitudinal change behind your action. So we are trying to change the attitude that drives the action is karma yoga. Improving the skill and changing the skill is what you learn from schools, universities, etc. By practice, you go on learning more and more, etc. Now, Karma Yoga is not betterment of action through skill. Karma Yoga is betterment of the personality through the change of attitude. So, Karma Yoga means the attitudinal change behind action. What is attitudinal change behind action? First thing, offering all actions to the goal or the divine. That is called Arpana Buddhi. Naturally, what will follow Arpana Buddhi? Prasada Buddhi. Whatever result comes, that result is seen as the prasad from the divine. Three, Anugraha Buddhi. When success comes, you have the humility to say it is by the God's grace. When failure comes, Samatva Buddhi, equanimity. Not to be disappointed or frustrated by the result not going in the way that you expected or planned. This is Karma Yoga. So what is this? Arpana Buddhi, Prasada Buddhi, Anugraha Buddhi, Samatva Buddhi. This is one way of looking at Karma Yoga, the attitudinal change. Buddhi we are using because it is an attitudinal change. That's why we are using the word Buddhi. So, Arpana Buddhi, Prasada Buddhi, Anugraha Buddhi, and Samatva Buddhi. Samatva. Anugraha in relation to success, Samatvam in relation to failure. In fact, you can say Samatvam to joy or sorrow, both. Prasada Buddhi, whatsoever result comes, you take it as blessings from, it's gift. The gift from the God, how would you take it? With devotion, with humility, with understanding, you will take. You will not complain, why is it happening to me only, sir? You don't have Prasada Buddhi. Why am I, when the whole world is happy and joyful, why am I alone in suffering? Isn't it? Everybody is happy, I alone in suffering. Nobody is there to wish me for my birthday, sir. Yeah. Nobody is wishing me for my birthday also, isn't it? Yeah, when so many people are wishing their death day, why will they wish for the birthday? Isn't it? Yeah, maybe you'll be wished for your death day. Who knows? You follow what I'm saying? Whatsoever happens, you accept it as God's prasad, isn't it? 100 fellows wished you on your birthday. What happened? Nothing has happened. Nobody is wishing you on your birthday. Again, what is happening? Nothing will happen. That's why, where is the big, what is the big issue in all these things? You follow? Accepting whatsoever situation you are in, the result is a situation that you are in. The environment is a situation that you are in. The result is a situation you are in. You accept it as Lord's gift. That's called Prasada Buddhi. The situation, the environment, the people that you are around, that you are surrounded with, is what? Situation. Is what you asked for, and God has given you that. Therefore, what do? Say thank you. Instead of going and asking God, why did you give me this? You should have given me something else, no? Isn't it? You don't go and ask God that, because God says, what can I do? Whatever you order only I can give, isn't it? You order for idli sambar, how can you get Mysore masala dosa? Isn't it? When you order for podi dosa, you will not get puri masala, isn't it? Whatsoever you order is what has come. That's all. Recognizing that is prasada buddhi. And thankful to the person because faithfully he has brought your order. Faithfully has brought your order. Therefore, you have a choice before you order. Yeah. Vijay Rangan. You have a choice before you order. I tasted, sir, it is not good. Take it and give something else. Pay the price for both. That's all, isn't it? Pay the price for both. Before you ordered, you should have no. I just wanted to explore all cuisines first and then order. Pay and experience all because nobody is going to give you any cuisine experience for free, isn't it? Therefore, prasad buddhi means whatsoever you have ordered is what you get. Can I change the order? Of course, you can change the order. Can I replace the order? Of course, you can replace the order. Joy and sorrow, the end result will not change. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. This understanding is one important aspect of Karma Yoga. Another distinct aspect of Karma Yoga is this. Karma Yoga is done for the ideal of self-purification, Chitta Shuddhi, by following a goal directed by your Swadharma. Again, Karma Yoga is for what purpose you do action. Before you do an action, you will have a purpose. No, why are you doing this? You cannot say, no purpose, I am simply doing. Is it possible? It is not possible to do an action without a goal or a result in mind. So in Karma Yoga, what is the result that you are aiming for? What is the result that you are attempting for? Chitta Shuddhi, inner purification, self-purification, self-development, self-management, all means only one. You can call it self-development, you can call it self-management, you can call it self-betterment, you can call it inner purification, you can call it self-purification, inner engineering, inner medicine. Inner medicine you can say, inner engineering you can say, inner arts you can say, any word you can use, doesn't matter. All it implies only one thing. What? Karma Yoga equals actions done for the sake of Chitta Shuddhi. Very clear. How would you do it? How would you do that? Actions, Chitta Shuddhi, the goal, you strive to achieve Chitta Shuddhi, the goal, by following the principle of Swadharma. By following the principle of Swadharma. Now don't ask what is Swadharma, how to find it Swadharma, ஏதாவது ஒரு வார்த்தை சொன்னாலே உடனே ஒரு question வரும், isn't it? You know what to use, which word to use, isn't it? So it is implied that you know what Swadharma is. It is implied you know all that. But I don't know, Sarna, doesn't matter. Clearly. So Chitta Shuddhi is the goal by following your Swadharma, by bringing in the 4 types of buddhi, connected to the previous 4 types of buddhi. So you follow an action decided by a Swadharma by having that attitudinal changes of Arpana Buddhi, Prasada Buddhi, Anugraha Buddhi, Samatva Buddhi for the goal of Chitta Shuddhi. This is called Karma Yoga. Are you okay till now? The last factor that comes in that is Karma Yoga has 2 types of things. One is Ishta and Purta. Ishtam and Purtam. Ishtam and Purtam means the Drishtapala and the Adrishtapala. In Karma Yoga has 2. The Drishtapala is the Loka Sangraha, the Adrishtapala is Chitta Shuddhi. Itoda Karma Yoga is over. Again I repeat. In Karma Yoga, there is a visible, tangible result and the invisible, intangible result. The visible, tangible result is called Lokasangraha or Ishtam. Self-purification is the Adrishtapala. Why do we call it as Adrishtapala? Adrishtapala meaning you want to know whether you are purifying or not, when it will happen, whether it happening or not. All this you will not be able to figure out. Therefore, in Karma Yoga, instead of worrying about the Adrishtapala, the focus is shifted to Drishtapala. Focus on the Drishtapala. Focus on the Drishtapala, which is Loka Sangraha. Are you okay till now? The Loka Sangraha is what is the Les Miserables knowledge Victor Hugo. What is that guy there he did? The escaped convict stole the silver plates from the house that gave him asylum. He was out in the cold, almost dying of frostburn, almost dying of that cold bite. The priest gave him asylum in his house, gave him clothes, food to eat, and gave the bed to sleep. That night, what he did, middle of the night, he took all the silver plates and left. When he was trying to sell it in the market the next day, he was caught by the police because the silver plate church isn't it? The silver plate has it dedicated. It's there. So he was caught by the police and brought to the priest. The priest said, I gifted the plates. Why are you troubling this man? I gifted this plate. The policeman apologized to the priest. The policeman apologized to the thief, and they left. The priest got up and he gave 2 candlestick stands. Again, silver. He said, you took everything, why you didn't take this? Take this also with you. Remember, life is to give, not to take. This is the attitudinal change of Karma Yoga that we spoke about. Are you able to follow now? Attitudinal change of Karma Yoga that we spoke about is life is to give, not to take. Anybody who's taking, asking, begging will suffer. Take it or leave it, doesn't matter. It's the law. Anytime you are asking, begging, craving, wanting, the law says you will suffer. Or where all you are suffering, there is only one reason for this. Work backwards now. At any point of time in life, if you are suffering, that suffering is because of the wrong attitude. What is the wrong attitude? Wanting to take. Wanting to take. All the time we want something from the other. But sir, I only want to give, sir. Only want to give, sir, but but I'm getting cheated when I'm giving, isn't it? I want to give, but I'm getting cheated when I'm giving. So in life, You should not. You should talk about giving. Attitude should be taking. In life, we should talk about giving. We should write poetry about giving. We should write stories about giving. We should make movies glorifying giving. All this is to give a discourse to other. Because when you make a movie, you are making it for other. When you write a poetry, are you educating yourself or educating somebody else? So, for others, it is giving. But you taking. Where is the problem? Yeah, we have absolutely our laws of our way of living is very, very simple and straightforward. But only thing that we don't understand is, in spite of us having such a clarity in life, why are we in misery and suffering? In spite of having such a clarity about how to live life, why are we in misery and suffering? Change the attitude. What is the attitude? Remember, life is to give, not to take. One attitude will change. Another attitude will change, subtler than that. He gave, he forgave. That is extraordinary. He gave, he forgave. He gave, and he didn't even remember that he is giving. He's not even remembering that he is giving. The story of the saint is this: he gave, he forgave. He was so totally into giving that he didn't even recognize or he didn't even have the ego to remember that he is giving. Because giving has become such a natural to an extent where wherever his shadow fell, that place was becoming divine. That place. A diseased person, when they go and stand in his shadow, the disease goes away. The dry place becomes a fertile place. It means his shadow was working miracles. Shadow is working miracles. You understand shadow working miracles means what? He didn't have anything about that he is a giver. He didn't have any notion that he is a giver. His shadow was working miracles. Opposite of that is where we are, isn't it? Our own shadow scares us, isn't it? Our own shadows causing our own shadows causing misery to us. In this person's case, the shadow gave, the shadow started performing miracles. So what he did, wherever he was walking, people will quietly follow him. Wherever he was walking, people will quietly follow him. He gave, he forgave. This is Karma Yoga. This is the discussion about Karma Yoga. The technique of Karma Yoga, verse number 30, that angle of it we are not discussing. But still mention that. But still remember that. That is also another aspect of Karma Yoga. Conservation of existing energy and generating more energy. That is also another important aspect of Karma Yoga, verse number 30 of chapter 3. Since it is a summary portion of the Holocaust of attachment, we are not discussing all aspects of Karma Yoga, but the fundamental formula of Karma Yoga. What is the fundamental formula for Karma Yoga? Shift in your an attitudinal shift. What is attitudinal shift? Life is to give, not to take. But sir, if I go on giving, when will I take? When will I take then? Because life is always give and take, no, sir? No, no. Life is take first and give later, isn't it? Give and take lang. Our formula of life is what? Take first and then decide whether to give or not. What will be the consequence of this attitude? Misery will be the consequence. See, wherever any human being is in misery, take it or leave it. I'm repeating again. Wherever the human being is in misery, frustration, agitated, crying, anguish, you have turned selfish. Full stop. The law doesn't change. Agree, do not agree, accept, do not accept. The law doesn't change. If you are in misery, means you have turned selfish. It's a law. So Karma Yoga is recognizing this law, understanding this law, and bringing an attitudinal change. The moment you bring in this attitudinal change, what happens? You start serving the society. You start helping others. You start serving the society. This is Karma Yoga, the Les Miserables story, etc. And then Bhakti Yoga. Karma Yoga is beautiful and extraordinary by itself. Bhakti Yoga is far more. Bhakti Yoga is far more wonderful. See, all the three yogas, Karma, Bhakti, Jnana yogas, gives you peace. It gives you Shanti. How Karma Yoga gives you Shanti? Karma Yoga gives you Shanti because no Kartrutva, no results, no expectations. You are doing actions, but no result, but no expectations, no agitated by the results. You will be in Shanti, peaceful. Opposite of that is anxiety. Opposite of that is consciously being anxious. Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga also gives you the peace. How Bhakti Yoga gives you the peace? Hatred goes away. Bhakti Yoga gives peace because the hatred and the divisions that you have with people as mine and not mine, etc., all that goes away. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga gives peace. How Jnana Yoga gives peace? Jnana Yoga gives peace because awareness of the oneness. The awareness of the oneness gives Shanti. So now, till now, we have discussed how Karma Yoga gives you Shanti. Slowly, Shanti Vardhu, only anger is coming, sir. Listening to this more and more, anger only is coming. And anger on whom? Aparna. Soladhu. Yeah, Soladhu, please. Yeah. I am getting very depressed. Yeah. Shanti. Karma Yoga brought about Shanti now. Now we are moving into Bhakti Yoga, bringing Shanti. What is Bhakti Yoga? Bhakti Yoga is in Karma Yoga, action means the focus is on you. In Bhakti Yoga, the attention shifts to what? The limitations of you. In Karma Yoga, it is about your abilities and capacities, as though you can do anything and everything. In Bhakti Yoga, the attention shifts to what? To your limitations. What is the limitation? What is the limitation? Ignorance about various things in life that you can never know is your limitation. You can never become the all-knowing through the instrument is your limitations. Limitation means there are various factors that is guiding your life, our life, everybody's life. There's a divinity that shapes our ends. So there is that divine that is directing all our lives, actions, and giving us the result when it has to come, etc. Recognizing that area of ignorance is called bhakti. Okay, when you recognize your ignorance, what will you do? When you recognize that you didn't know, what will you do? You will go and surrender to somebody who knows. I didn't know means I will want to know. I will Google, sir. Where is the problem? Isn't it? If you don't know what to do, in this classroom, nobody is giving an answer. In the kindergarten school, they'll give the answer very clearly. If you don't know, what will you do? Go to Google. Where is the problem? Google knows everything, isn't it? You are surrendering to something. So you recognize that you do not know it, and then you go and surrender. What is surrender? Surrender means recognizing that you don't know. Surrender means recognizing that you can never know, and you follow. The human ego says, make me understand, then I will follow. The human ego says, make me understand, then I'll follow. Authentic master says, get lost. Either you follow or you don't follow. This is what it is. Who's going to sit and for how much ever explanation is given, it is clear that you cannot understand. So what is the point of explanation there? Are you able to follow? Therefore, what is bhakti? Bhakti is surrendering. But sir, blind faith we should not have, no sir. Shankar, faith naale blind da. There is no knowledgeable faith. Knowledge வந்துருச்சுனா அங்க faith கிடையாது. Faith வந்தாலே blind தான். Take it or leave it. But sir, blind faith we should not have. We should have what? Scientific faith. I don't know what is the opposite of blind faith. Okay, what is the opposite of blind? Blind opposite என்ன? Literal English language opposite. Ram Subramaniam. Blind opposite என்ன? Vision. Blind opposite vision, isn't it? Vision of faith. I don't know. How can you call that? It looks so weird, isn't it? It looks so weird. How it is? The bhakti itself means a faith, a jump, a trust, a surrender. That is bhakti. The person performing action will not have bhakti. The person saying I have devotion to God will not do anything. Because God will take care. Isn't it? It's the problem. Again, I repeat. A person who's performing actions will not say devotion and all. Why? Because it is action that is going to give the result. No. Why unnecessarily bring in the third factor called bhakti and surrender? That is one. The person who's performing bhakti says, anyway, God is going to give. What is the point of me doing anything? Because whether me doing or not doing has got no play at all. Therefore, might as well not do anything. Okay, might as well not do anything and sit and do what then? and then sit and do what? If you are not doing useful action, what are you doing? What are you doing? Useless action. Rende choice. Either you are doing useful action or you are doing useless action. Yeah. Anyway, God will take care, sir. And what I'll do? Netflix, isn't it? I can keep watching Netflix and God will take care. God says, very good. You keep watching Netflix. That's what you will. Are able to follow? So what is bhakti? Bhakti is surrendering to the total scheme of things which is non-understandable at all. There is something about life that is always non-understandable. And to that you surrender. That factor you call it as God. To that factor you surrender, that unknown entity is called God. Since it is very difficult to comprehend it as a knowledge and understanding, Bhakti Yoga says, bring in a symbolic form to represent the totality and worship that as God. That is where we discuss in chapter 10, and we are discussing in chapter 11 also. That's why I'm not discussing that a lot, because we are discussing Bhakti a lot in chapter 10, and we are going to discuss that in chapter 11 also. Since it is very difficult to comprehend the totality because of the vastness, you bring in a symbolic representation of that. That symbolic representation is an idol, a god. Eka Rupa, Aneka Rupa, Vishwarupa, Arupa, all that we spoke about. Now, all this is symbolic representative of what? Of there is something which is incomprehensible by the human being, and that shapes our life. If we say that, immediately we'll say how to please that power. What is that power? How to be in the good books of the power. And so whatever I do in life, the good power will come and save me, protect me. We get into wrong understanding. This wrong understanding is called superstition. So bhakti becomes superstitious thus. Or bhakti becomes prayer in the form of asking for favors. See, people today believe entitlement, isn't it? Entitlement means, entitlement na enartham? It's my right. It's my right, sir. How is it my right? Because how many times I have worshipped a God? How many times how many pradakshinaams I have done? How many agarbattis I have lit and created pollution. Yeah. How many agarbattis I lit and created pollution? How many camphor I burnt and burnt up places also? How many vratams I did? How many? What do you offer to God? What do you call that? Naivedyam. What all I offer to God, sir. Each and every God, I find out what all they like, and I do only that, isn't it? Ganesha likes idli, sir. I don't know who came and said Ganesha will like idli, isn't it? Ganesha likes idli, sir. Therefore, in our house, we have to make idli for all this I have done, sir. The end result of it is what? I'm crying and suffering. Therefore, there's no such thing called God at all. Because I did my job, but God failed in their job. I don't know, whatever the job of God is. This is not bhakti. That's what he says. Then what is bhakti? He who made it knew better than a man like me is the attitude of bhakti. Again, the attitudinal change behind emotion. We said attitudinal change behind action is knowledge. The attitudinal change behind emotion is bhakti. Then what is bhakti now? He who made it knew what it needed better than a man like me. When you do all this bhakti yoga, etc., you are qualified for jnana yoga. I'll come to that later slightly. Bhakti yoga is recognizing the two. What? Number one, he who made it knew what it needed better than a man like me. I do everything, but the result went in some other way. I understand that's what? That's what is good for me. Because divine is that which always does that which is good. Therefore, in the vision of Bhakti Yoga, there is no success, there is no failure, there is only goodness. Again, I repeat, in the vision of the devotee of God, in the understanding of the devotee of God, there is no good and bad. There is no failure or success. There is only one thing. What is that one thing? It's good. Whatsoever happens is good. Accepting this is Bhakti Yoga. Because we really don't know what is good. You think you know what you do and you get into doing something. Turns out to be a disaster. Having burnt the finger, what will you do again? Having burnt the finger, what will you do again? Do the same thing. Yeah. Having burnt the finger third time, you will do again the fourth time. Why? Because you think you know. You think you know. You can know. What is bhakti? Bhakti yoga comes and says, I can never know. Therefore, I surrender. Surrender implies an obedience. Surrender implies an obedience. What is obedience? What is obedience? Whether you understand it or not, you do it. Jump. Why should I jump? And then give a reason, and then you will jump. That is one. Another is jump. You just jump. For an egoistic person, first will look very meaningful. For an egoistic person, the first will look very meaningful. What is the first? Why? Know the reason and then jump. It will look very meaningful to an egoistic person. For a person of spiritual inclination and understanding and growth, the second will look meaningful. What is the second? Jump means? Follow? Because what is going to protect you? The very surrender is going to protect you. There is no fear. The very genuinity of your surrender is going to protect you. Prahlada. What happened to Prahlada? In the Puranic story, Prahlada, who was trying to murder the boy? The father is trying to murder, isn't it? Son trying to murder the father is understandable. Father is trying to murder the son, isn't it? See, most of the families you see, no, Son will always want to murder the father, isn't it? Why? Because the man is not leaving, simply sitting, not allowing the fellow to do what they want to do, sitting and saying, don't do this, you don't do. Who wants to hear all that? I will go and break my head. Yeah, I will go and break my head. At that time, you come and serve me. Till that time, don't tell me anything. And the old man, father will be sitting there, also irritating it is. Yeah. Therefore, in the normal scheme of things, for son wanting to murder the father is normal, understand, isn't it? That man is still having the controls and not giving anything to me, sir. What controls? Yeah. Yes. He's not giving because you are a disaster. That's why, isn't it? If you are not a disaster, he will give. He is not giving because you are an absolute disaster. So why will he give controls to the disaster? But the ego says, no, no, no. That is, no. In the case of Prahlada, what happened? The father is trying to, all methods he tried. And they asked Prahlada, how did you, what saved you? How you got saved from all these things? He says, why are you asking me? I don't know. Again, how is it that you got saved from all this? Prahlada's answer is, why are you asking me? I don't know the answer. Go and ask. Go and ask that, because the protection is coming from the divine. Father got very angry, isn't it? Show me the divine. I want to murder the divine also. So what is bhakti here? Bhakti here is recognizing your limitations, recognizing your inabilities, and then surrendering. Surrendering means obey. Surrender means obedience. But sir, in verse number 34, chapter 4, it is said, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Oh my God. Shankaracharya doesn't know so much. You all know so much, isn't it? Because in verse number 34, it is said, no, sir, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. And surrender means simply jump means, how can you jump? Krishna said, oh, you are coming through that winding path. It's okay, come. If you want to come through the winding path, I will walk with you. If you want to take the direct path, I am with you. The choice is yours. What is the winding path? Give me the reason, then I will do. Give me the reason, then I will do. Take to the winding path, because whatever reason is given, you are not going to do. That's why under class Lana will have enough time to keep talking and talking and talking, isn't it? You go to an authentic master, they have no time. Yeah. Question comes, massacre the questioner, the fellow will not ask another question. Then the another question will not come the next day. Where to sit and explain? What is the use of all this explanation? Nothing happens out of all this. Why? Because you have determined not to do. For a person who is determined to do, it is simply surrender. 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 Bhakti is the path of changing the attitude behind the emotion. Then comes jnanam. Jnana yoga is of two types. One is the knowledge of karma and bhakti. Again, knowledge is of two types. All along we have been discussing the knowledge of karma yoga and the knowledge of bhakti yoga. So that is one kind of knowledge that will not come under jnana yoga. The knowledge of action, the knowledge of bhakti, emotion will not come under jnana yoga. Then what is jnana yoga? Nitya, Anitya, Nitya, Anitya. That is Jnana Yoga. Again, Jnana Yoga is a constant discrimination. What is the discrimination? Discerning. What is the discernment? Nityam and Anityam. Nityam and Anityam. What is permanent? What is linguistic opposite is impermanent. The understanding word that you should use is temporary. The linguistic opposite is the linguistic opposite is impermanent. Real, the linguistic opposite of real is unreal. It's not the linguistic opposite of unreal. It is the recognition of, in all experiences of your life, what is permanent and what is impermanent. An awareness of what is permanent and what is temporary. And if you see in life, everything belongs to the category of temporary. Again, I repeat, if you carefully investigate into life, the subject is temporary, the object is temporary. The temporary subject interacts with the temporary object, creating temporary experience. Again, the temporary subject interacting with the temporary object, resulting in a temporary experience. That's all. This is Jnana Yoga. What value will you give it to temporary? What value will you give it to that which is temporary? The value that you will give it to temporary is, if it is there, doesn't make a big difference. If it leaves, again, it doesn't make a big difference. Having it, there's no exaggerated value. When it leaves, again, no exaggerated value, because you have understood this. What did you understand? Mathematically, write it down. Jnana Yoga means temporary subject interacting with the temporary object, resulting in temporary experience. Generally, we always talk about the subject interacting with the object produces an experience. Yeah, what you should have supplied within brackets all along? Temporary. That you didn't supply. Therefore, what are we doing now? What you are missing to supply, we are adding. What is it? A temporary subject interacting with a temporary object, resulting in a temporary experience. You are temporary, the world is temporary. If both are temporary, the interactions between the two also has to be temporary plus temporary equals permanent. Misery plus misery equals misery square, isn't it? Misery plus misery, not happiness. Yeah. One miserable person wanting to marry another miserable person and looking for happily living ever after, isn't it? Happily miserable ever after will be the actual result. Why? Because one misery wedded to another misery will result in misery only. Yeah, simple mathematics. Yeah, 2 plus இதெல்லாம் சொல்லி கொடுக்கிறது கிருஷ்ணாலாம் வேணவே வேணும், isn't it? You don't need Krishna to come and teach it. We should have known all this by ourselves, isn't it? Similarly, temporary plus temporary equals temporary. Yeah, temporary plus temporary equals temporary. But sir, why people keep changing, sir? Why people keep changing, sir? Why can't they be the same, sir? Sir, who are you asking? Because you yourself is not the same. Yeah, when you yourself is not the same, the other, about the other you are referring is also not the same. Then finally what it is? Temporary. So what is Jnana Yoga? Nitya, Anitya, Viveka, Vicharam. Adallam puriyadu. Forget it. Put it like this. Temporary subject interacting with the temporary world of objects and beings, resulting in temporary experiences of joy and sorrow. Ida Nitya, Nitya, Viveka, Vicharam. Nitya, Anitya, Viveka, Vicharam means what? Again I repeat. Temporary subject interacting with temporary object, resulting in the temporary experiences of joy and sorrow. If all this is temporary, is there anything called permanent at all? You will never have the interest about the permanent because you are so occupied in convincing yourself that temporary has to be made permanent. That's why I ask for commitment from the other person, isn't it? That's why I ask for commitment, isn't it? If you are really wise, you will not give any commitment. Huh? If you are giving commitment, you are very, very unwise, isn't it? Yeah. I swear I will just remain the same as today for ever. Correct. When they were coma poexina, it will be like that, isn't it? When both of them get into coma, it will be exactly the nothing. But then life is not like that. Life is not like that. You have to change. So what is Jnana Yoga? Jnana Yoga is the internal courage to accept it. Jnana Yoga is the mental courage, the internal strength to accept this. What is that? All that you experience are temporary. But our notion of life is always what? Eliminate the pain and keep the pleasure. Again, I repeat. What is human beings' approach to life? Eliminate the pain aspects of life and keep the pleasurable aspects of life, isn't it? சும்மாவே உட்கார்ந்துருக்கணும், isn't it? Instead of grass, wheat and rice grows. Where is the problem, isn't it? Instead of wild grass going everywhere, if wheat and rice starts growing like that, will we have any problem? The problem is wheat and rice is not growing. We have to do something. Are you able to follow? Jnana Yoga is an awareness. What is that awareness? The awareness of the temporary will remain temporary. Temporary will remain temporary. Then comes what is permanent. Because you have understood that you can never keep the pleasure permanent. Hoping to have a permanent pleasure is what is called Swarga. What is Swarga? Heaven. Heaven is an imaginary notion of yours where all the painful elements of life will go and only pleasurable aspects of life will remain. It's against the law of life. It's against the law of life. Because we have seen that very clearly in verse number 21, chapter 9. Kshine Punye. If you remember Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse number 21, we did that. Kshine Punye. Even you go to any loka, Swarga Loka, Indra Loka, Pidruloka, Shivaloka, Vaikunta, all are loka means experience. Experience means temporary. There cannot be a permanent experience. This awareness is called Jnana Yoga. Once you develop this understanding, then you will have the thirst. What is the thirst? What is permanent? If everything is impermanent, if everything is temporary, then what is? Is there a thing called permanency at all in the first place? If at all there is something called permanent, what is it? How is it? Etc. That is Jnana Yoga. So, step number 1 of Jnana Yoga is recognizing, including Swargaloka, Indraloka, Pitruloka, or whatever loka it is, all are temporary by nature. Because loka means experience, experience means temporary. Then comes the question, what is permanent? Is there anything called permanent at all? Nitya, Anitya, Viveka, Vichara at level number 2. Level number 1 is temporary subject interacting with temporary object will result in temporary experience of joy and sorrow. Therefore, I don't give it any black market. My joy will not have a black market value. My sorrow will not have a black market value. The birth will not have a black market value. The death will not have a black market value. Success will not have a black market value. Failure will not have a black market value. Why? Because all are temporary by nature. Then what is permanent? This inquiry is Jnana Yoga. When all these 3 yogas are done properly, rightly, conscientiously, as he says, you reach a level of single-pointedness. That single-pointedness will transfer itself into self-realization. That single-pointedness will transfer itself into self-realization. So, what is the freedom from the Holocaust of attachment? What is the freedom from the Holocaust of attachment? Self-realization is the freedom. If you want freedom from the Holocaust of attachment, attain self-realization. This is the book, The Holocaust of Attachment. With this, we have concluded this text, The Holocaust of Attachment. Bada, break us anyway. For the next 3 weeks, there is a break. For the next 3 weeks, there is a break. And now I'm going on a holiday. Yeah. Since I'm going on a holiday for you also for 3 weeks. And then, whenever Venkat decides, we will meet up again. Because he will post. When we are meeting, he will post, and then only I will get to know that I'm also doing that. So with this, we conclude the text Holocaust of Attachment. We will not be meeting for 3 weeks, and then we will continue the discussion with the new text. New text na other again same text da. Yeah. What text, sir? Shankar, adana. Yeah. What text, sir? So that we can read and be prepared for that, isn't it? So that we can get ready and prepared for that. What is the text that we are going to do next? Bhaja Govinda we are going to do next. We do one English text and we do one Sanskrit text. We do one English text and we do one Sanskrit text. The Sanskrit text that we have for all this is Bhaja Govindam, Atma Bodha, and then the few English books. So what we will do here? These 5-6 books we will keep repeating circularly again and again and again. So we will be starting with Bhaja Govindam. வெங்கட் சரியா? உங்கள்கிட்ட பர்மிஷனை கேட்காம நான் அனௌன்ஸ் பண்ணிட்டேன் டெக்ஸ்ட்டை கூட. After I come back, we will start with Bhajagovinda. With this, we conclude for today. We are meeting tomorrow, no? Tomorrow we are meeting. With this, we conclude for